Okay, welcome back to I Love Social Studies by Miss Everson here at Creekside School. I want to welcome those of you who are watching for the first time. Hope you enjoy them, hope you find them helpful. If you have any ideas or suggestions for upcoming videos, please let me know. You can put a comment in the box below, or you can email me at everson-a@harris.k12.ga.us. Okay, the topic for today's video is trade barriers. We will cover 4 types of trade barriers: tariff, quota, embargo, and physical trade barriers. Now, a tariff is a tax placed on a good just to come into the country to be sold. Okay, so a tariff is a tax. That tax ends up raising the price of the product. Now, if I were a tomato farmer, and I use this example a lot in class, if I were a tomato farmer and I grow tomatoes here in the United States and sell them in stores for, let's just say, 25 cents a piece. And there's a South American country that also wants an opportunity to sell tomatoes here in the United States, and we allow them to do that. They're charged a tariff or a tax just to bring those tomatoes into the United States. So that translates to a higher price. When they get into the grocery store, if you and your mom go to the grocery store to buy tomatoes for taco dinner tonight, you might see tomatoes for 20 cents and the same exact tomato for 30 cents, and your mom is obviously going to buy the one that is a cheaper price, the 20-cent tomato, because it does not have the tariff placed on it, just that tax placed on it just for that tomato to come into the country. Alright, tariff is a tax. The second type is an embargo. Okay, an embargo is a government-placed ban on all items from a country. That means we cannot sell items to them, and they cannot sell items to us and be sold here in the United States. We actually have an embargo against Cuba. Cuba is an island country that's 90 miles south of Florida. You will learn in the third 9 weeks about the Cuban Missile Crisis and the reasoning behind that embargo. But regardless, we have an embargo, a government-placed ban or no opportunity to sell to or from Cuba. Okay, an embargo is a government-placed ban restricting all trade from that country. The third type is a quota. Now, a quota is a set limit of goods that can be brought into the country to be sold. Okay, the government says, sure, you can bring those items in to be sold, but only a certain amount. For example, we'll go back to the tomatoes again. If I am a tomato farmer and I grow enough tomatoes to supply the needs of all American citizens, it's a lot of tomatoes, but I can do it. Okay, I have the opportunity to grow enough tomatoes to meet the needs of all American citizens. Okay, but that same South American country wants to sell their tomatoes here in the United States as well. The government might say, sure, you can sell your tomatoes here, but only, let's just say, 500 of them. It's a weird number, but go with it. Okay, only 500 tomatoes can you sell here in the United States. So when you and your mom go to the grocery store to buy your tomatoes for tacos, you might see a large display of tomatoes grown in the United States and a small display of tomatoes grown in, let's just say, Venezuela. I don't know if they grow tomatoes, but it's just my example, okay? So your mom will typically buy the one that has a greater supply, not the one that has a limited supply, because that quota has been set. Our government has said, sure, you have the opportunity to sell your goods here in America, but only a set amount. Because our government would obviously want American citizens to purchase the products made in America to keep that money within our nation, to keep that money domestic. Alright, the last type is a physical barrier. Now, the first week of school we talked about different types of maps, and one of them was a physical map. A physical map shows us mountains and rivers. So just by the name of this type of trade barrier, a physical trade barrier, you know that it has something to do with a land issue. An example of that can be a large mountain range. A community on one side of the mountain range probably would not trade with a community on the other side of the mountain range because of the time and effort it takes to cross the mountains. Today it's a little bit easier because you can just fly things, ship things, that sort of thing. But it's a physical trade barrier. Another example is long distances, and this is the one that affects our trade the most. For example, if you notice, we do not buy and sell and trade a lot with Australia. Okay, there's not a lot of Australian products that are sold in the United States. You typically don't see shirts that say made in Australia because of the cost, the additional cost that it takes to ship them or to fly them to Australia. It ends up raising the price of it, just like a tariff does. That long distance, the cost that it takes to get the material or the good there ends up raising the cost. So we typically do not trade with them because they are too far away. Australia's trading partners will more than likely be countries that are right there around it. It makes sense that we trade with Canada and Mexico because they are our closest countries. It makes sense that we have a trade agreement with them that eliminates tariffs because they are so close to us, and we would like to encourage trade between those three countries. So trade with Canada and the United States is not a physical trade barrier because they are so close. Trade with Australia is because it's so far away. All right, that's the 4 types of trade barriers: tariff, quota, embargo, and physical trade barriers. Hope this helps. Have a great day.